I forgot to record all of that. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
it's very true, guys. Go ahead, Megan.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna jump in. I was gonna say, like, I feel like this weekend was a testament to everything that could have gone wrong for me.
Hmm.
But I still I tried to remain positive, and tried to like do my best with everything and relied on my resources. So just to give like a quick rundown of how my weekend went, um, my best friend, she's Indian culture, the husband sometimes doesn't go in the delivery room. So I was the designated person who
Mm.
was supposed to be there. And basically, obviously, baby decides when to come, right? Can't necessarily plan that. So Tuesday, baby was supposed to come like today. Baby actually came Friday afternoon around like 3 o'clock. Water broke. They were like, she's going to have this baby. So I raced to the hospital. She had the baby, got there, had the baby in like 30 minutes, done, boom, like done. Yeah. And then started bleeding, wouldn't stop. Um, she got really ill. I think was
Mm.
at the hospital till like 1 o'clock in the morning. Finally got home. I was lucky enough to pack Friday's meals. So I was planned for that. I was like, I had everything prepped. I just threw it in my bag and I ran. However, I got a call Saturday morning. And I say everything could have gone wrong. It was more of my friend that it happened to. It just kind of
Mhm.
impacted me as well because I was supporting. But as my friend was there, she developed an infection overnight. Baby was losing weight. Her mother had heart failure and ended up getting transported to the same hospital. She doesn't speak English, so I had to go there and help translate because her father is also at the house. They visited from India to have be there for the birthing experience.
Mhm.
Father is immobile. I don't even know how they brought him to the US. Anywho, he can't even give himself his own medicine, let alone feed him, go to the bathroom. So now we've got three people ill and a newborn baby. So basically, I get to the hospital early Saturday morning. I threw in two like meals in my bag, like breakfast and post workout, and like well, actually, I had breakfast. I threw my post workout and my lunch, and then ran to the hospital and started doing translating, whatever. By the time it's time to eat, I'm starving. And at this point, I don't know where in the hospital I left my Tupperware for my lunch. So I was like, okay, what do I do? Because I am starving. And I looked at the clock, time just flew. I reached there at like maybe, I don't know, 10:45 right after my workout. I just like raced. And by the time I looked at the clock, it was 5:40, like in the afternoon. And I had not eaten all day, let alone drink
Mm.
water, nothing. Um, and then, oh my goodness, then the father, his back gave out in the hospital because he's racing everywhere. And so they sent him home on bed rest. I stayed in the hospital overnight. I did get to go home for like an hour and I like packed all my food and I got a little bit more adjusted. And long story short, didn't get home till Sunday afternoon. And I just slept for 6 hours, hadn't eaten anything again. Also, I got sick, probably caught something at the hospital. So just is horrible. And Monday, thank God I had a gap on Wednesday for my workouts because I just moved Monday's workout to Tuesday and Tuesdays to Wednesday. Um, and now I'm better, but
Good.
weekend was SHIT. So, and everybody is still on the mend. They're not better. I'm actually going to the hospital again today, but I have everything prepped. I prepped Sunday night. I stayed up late, prepped for all 7 days of the week for every meal. And I'm going to keep it back so I don't lose them at the hospital, my meal. Anywho, I'm going to stop talking.
Good. So I'm gonna give you some hot tips, okay? So this shit happens all the time. It won't be the first time that it happens to you, and it will happen again. I think Stacy lived this life not too long ago with her sister. Um, so things that you guys can do because shit's always gonna go sideways. And first of all, the one thing is to always rebound from it immediately. But always have in your bag, like your purse, your bag, protein powder, like little baggies of protein powder, because when you lose your lunch in the hospital, you can reach into your purse and grab your shaker and you can unscrew the top and you can pull out your baggie of protein powder and voila. You
So Joel,
and
you're gonna laugh at me because Sunday I just threw a whole thing of protein powder in my car. I'm like, screw it. I put water bottle, protein, everything. So yeah.
because it's better than nothing. Well, I just said don't live off of protein shakes and caffeine. If shit hits the fan, and you were prepared, but things like fell apart like that, at least you have something that you can get into your body. So always be prepared for that. And then the other thing that I'll tell you, and you're new, Megan, so this takes some time to develop. But as you're meal prepping, and I think Jen talks about it in one of her meal prep videos, but whether you use a meal prep company or you prep your food yourself, learn to one, either over order, or two, if you're meal prepping yourself, over prep. And start stocking shit in your freezer, because for times like that, it's super helpful. So like my freezer has about as much food in it as my refrigerator does at any given time, because that way I'm always prepared. And you can even one up it if you want. Mine has got like bulk prep in it, but you can, I think Jen like, and I used to do this, I don't anymore. And I used to do it. She's on prep right now, and I used to do it more when I was on prep. But you can even divide it into like 3 ounces or whatever, so it's easier to even grab. But that would be, for those of you guys that are new on here, or even people that haven't done it in the past, learn to do that. Learn to over prep, overcook your food. You'll thank yourself later for it. Like Stacy's talking about having stuff in her freezer. Like, yeah, you'll thank yourself for it on the days that you don't have it or you don't have the
So,
time to cook.
hey, Jules, too. And I know back in last September when I was in the field, we had talked about the 50 greens from First Form, the little individual packs, if I couldn't
Mhm.
get green veggies. So I drink one of those practically every single day now, still.
Oh
But I
yeah.
think I feel like that's a good go-to if you can't get like broccoli or asparagus.
Mhm.
Um,
OptiGreens. Yeah.
OptiGreens, that's what's called.
Yeah.
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 And I just buy the little individual packs. You can take them on a plane, you can throw them in your bag, your
Mhm.
purse, whatever. But you could always have those too. So you know that you're fueling your body with good nutrients. And that's a really good high quality one. I think it's probably the highest quality one that I've
It
ever
is.
found. So,
Mhm.
and I feel
That's
better when I drink one of those.
It's true. That's a good way to get your vegetables in too, and you can mix them with your shakes too. The OptiGreens, I actually have some of those myself. And you are right. Many manufacturers try to duplicate First Form's OptiGreens. Nobody can do it. And they are one of the best out there. It's funny that you said that. So good learnings, guys. Make sure that you're always prepared. But like the moral of the story here is like, Megan talked about her life, Stacy talked about her week. We talked about client that checked in, the tribe member that checked in that had her world fall apart. So, shit is gonna happen. You have to understand that that is life. And the things that you used to do in the past, and I hear it all the time, and you guys were part of that. At one point in time, you were in my DMs sending me messages about, I don't have time. I can't do this. Everything comes first. That's what brought you here. And so just always lean into the tools that you have learned or are learning, Megan and Carrie and a few Sarah that are new here. Like you're learning these tools. So keep implementing them and just keep stacking them. Like you guys are in the process of building a foundation. And what you're hearing from is like when you hear from Stacy, one, you're hearing that shit still happens. She still will go sideways a little, but she's built a solid foundation. So she like is able to implement it, as well as Lisa, who's, you know, went through surgery. She's been here a while. Shit still goes sideways. She didn't have the best week that she could have had her recovery. She openly talked about it to me in her check-ins, but she did better than she would have in the past, and she immediately got back on. Sandy, you know, and her, so you guys will get that, like that foundation, once it's built, is rock solid. So know that. So just keep doing the things that you need to do. But my other purpose of saying this is because shit's never going to go away, but you're going to get better at prioritizing yourself as you move forward and rebounding faster than you ever have, because you do have the time, you know. And like I said, you guys were in my DMs and I still hear it every day. Like there's just no way I can do this because I just don't have the fucking, and all of this shit's going on. And I'm like, but you allow that to happen. You're allowing it to control your life. You're allowing these things. You have to set very strong boundaries in your life. There's nobody more important than you. You have 100% control of your life. And anytime shit starts to spin out of control, even Megan, in your situation, whether you want to hear this or not, you have control over it. We all have control over it. We have the ability to control the situation, but it's how well we're prepared going into it, and how willing are we to set those boundaries and to even delegate. Sometimes we allow things to shift to us, and that's normal. We're givers, we're females, but the better you get at being like putting these little boundaries in place that are like non-negotiables for you, there's going to be times you're going to bend and you're going to weave and you're going to bob. But when you have these barriers in place, it becomes much easier.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like I learned so much this weekend that will help me be successful. Like, one, I've got an extra thing of protein in my car, so when I've got to commute or something happens, I've got that there as like a backup. And then two, you mentioned bulk. So like something I did this weekend that I was like, you know what? Things happen and I don't want to be hungry because I am not a happy person when I'm hungry. So basically, what I did is I always meal prep on Sundays. So like I'll prep for the week. But what I started doing is like this past weekend, since I know I'm going to be on this meal plan for 4 to 6 weeks, I was like, I'm going to do a freezer rolling week. So like what I mean by that is like 1 week, I've got all my meals that are prepped in the refrigerator that are easy accessible. I can take them out. I'm still going to meal prep every Sunday to have an additional week in advance, but I'm going to have stuff in the freezer so that way I can just take it out and the one that I make, I can replace. So worst case scenario, if what happened on the weekend, because Sunday was my prep day, I didn't have any backup. It was literally like, I have to come home and I've got to do this, which is fine, worked it out. But I also like went hungry for several hours. So, which I don't want to do either, because what my understanding is, if you don't eat, it also affects your body. So you might be thinking you're doing better by not eating something outside, which may be the case, but you're not doing yourself good by not eating anything either. So I felt like I learned the hard way this weekend, but I'm thinking it's just going to make me better for next time. I see Jen's, yes. So,
Bulk prepping is the best. That's what I do. Like literally, I just bought like a whole bunch of chicken that I'm just gonna marinate and then chop it up and have it in the freezer. And I literally I'm stockpiled because girl, I'm eating the same fucking shit. So I know like I could just always have turkey and always have chicken and always have fish like in my freezer and it's perfectly fine. And like the only thing that I really need to prep is the veggies and then the carbs, which is not a big deal either. So it just makes so much easier, and you can easily like pop your freezer foods in the microwave, and there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. I love it. Already, she's making freaking gains right here.
Right. Right. We always, and that's good. Like this is about learning. So, the fact that you learned, Megan, that's good. And you're all going to learn the hard way. Trust me. And many of you in here have learned the hard way, just like Megan. I'm sure some of you guys are like, yeah, did it. But the fact is that you learn and you'll just get better at it. And it's just like I said, it's those boundaries and prioritizing yourself and realizing like what could I have done differently or better to have survived the situation going forward. Because that's like you're always going to hear me say that. Like when you come to me with something, 99.9% of you have probably heard me say this, like, okay, great. What did you learn? And what could you do differently to maneuver through the situation in the future? Because it's not going away. It's gonna happen again. It's fucking life. It's life. I wish I could take away all the obstacles in life, but it isn't gonna happen. So we have to learn to be very good at maneuvering through them. And it's 100% possible. I did somebody said to me, it was funny, and most of you have traveled, but somebody said to me the other day, but I'm traveling, I can't, make all my food. I'm flying, it's blah. I went through I think it was somebody newer that was telling me all of this, and I'm literally on the plane on my way here as I'm getting this message. And just like, so in my past life, I used to travel a lot. So I would be like anywhere from I'm sharing this for context. It's why this happened to me. So I'm lucky enough to get upgraded most of the times on my flight because I have so many million miler status with Delta from my past life of crazy ass traveling. Where I would be like diamond or platinum. So I'm 99% of the time, specifically on certain flights like that are red eyes, will get myself upgraded. So I was flying here and I was upgraded. And of course the guy comes to me, the steward, and he says he names off all of his breakfast that he has for me, and I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. None of that fits my macros, but I do have my own breakfast here. I'm like, so he brings me my little napkin and my silverware, and he says, do you want me to heat up your oatmeal for you? Because I had my protein oats in there, and I'm like, no. And I'm like, it is so doable, guys. Like, he grabs my bag. He's like, let me get your backpack for you. Here you go. Like, cause I was sitting towards the window, pull out my oatmeal. The guy next to me is eating some big freaking French toast with syrup and shit all over it. And I'm over there eating oats out of my Tupperware, which the stewardess volunteered to heat up for me. But I was like, no, I'm good with my silverware and my napkin and my coffee. And I was like, it's completely doable. I would have did the same thing if I was back in Delta Comfort too. But my point is I was laughing to myself. I'm like, it's always doable. But my whole backpack that entire day was full of food. It still is. Like I have to work all day today. I'm going to be in meetings and classes and trainings. That sucker will be full of food. And it'll go everywhere with me. As soon as I get off this call and walk back, I will prepare every single meal and have it with me all day. I did yesterday too. I didn't know where I was going to be all day yesterday. Yeah, you
I
can do
love
that.
that you're telling that to people, Jules, because I used to pack my 6-pack bag every single morning.
Sorry,
Oh, what's
I'm being. You got it? Okay, yeah. They're putting an umbrella up over my head. Sorry, it's knocked me out.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh, God. No, I was just saying that I used to pack my 6-pack bag every single morning.
Uh-huh.
Before I left for the gym, because I wouldn't be back sometimes till like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, depending on what I was doing. And if I didn't have food in there, I didn't get to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
but doing that, I went through the mental process every single morning, and I kept my meal plan at the top of my 6-pack bag so I could just look at it. And
Ooh.
I didn't care if people made fun of me at that point. I was just like, I don't care. This is my life.
Yep.
I knew strategically where there were microwaves around the valley when I was in Vegas. So yeah, I think having that bag ready every single day,
Mhm.
or I would prep
Yeah.
for it at night, and
Yep.
I would have like my coffee and stuff because I always have college, and I'm like I would just have all that stuff ready to go for in the morning. That way, because you know 4:30 hits, you hit the ground running. But it's kind of like a safety net, um, to be able to have all those things at the ready.
Yep.
So I think
Very
it's the
good.
way to go. Yeah,
And
you
it's,
taught me all that. I didn't know any of that before.
but having, and guys, you can listen to it. Say, like, it's about, like, take what you hear from her. It's about having, or me, like, it's about having a routine. You're going to have your own routine. Stacy likes to do it at night. I do it in the morning while I'm making my breakfast. Like, so if you like, but what you're hearing is having her coffee or collagen, things prepared. Like, that's a nighttime ritual. So I talk about, like, a lot of you guys are like, well, what do you talk about a nighttime ritual? You don't have to sit and sing kumbaya, or whatever, but you should have a evening ritual where, one, your electronics go off 30 minutes before you're going to go to bed. But during that time, it's setting yourself up, putting your house to bed. So, like, there's not chaos in the morning. And part of that could be setting up your coffee, doing the things that are going to make your life easier in the morning. So in the morning, your morning routine goes smoother. You're not rushing around in chaos. You have that peace, that time to yourself. Like, that's what you're creating, two bumpers in your morning and your evening routine. And they're bumpers that create a peace for you. So when shit goes sideways in the middle of the day, you're grounded in the morning. You're grounding yourself in the morning that you can handle anything because you took that time. And in the evening, you have a ritual that shuts you down for that day, gives you a little bit of peace, grounds you again, and allows you to set yourself up for the next day. So finding whatever works for you, but putting it in place. And yeah, like, fail to prepare and prepare to fail. Have your food with you. Like, I don't always do that, but 99% of the time I prepare my meals in the morning and I just lug them around. Even if I'm lugging my bag back and forth, and I'm eating from home, at least I know that if I am someplace, my food is there. Cool. Questions, concerns, thoughts? You guys can do this, but you got to remember, life isn't perfect. So the better you can prepare for it, the better off you are. Everybody's on mute. I think, Jen, are you trying to say something?
Hi,
Hi.
I agree with everything. I had
Jen,
oats today. That's
woohoo.
that's my I finally had some oats.
Don't worry, you're gonna get carb loaded.
I know. It's
You're gonna
crazy.
get more and more carbs every single day. You're gonna be a happy
Yes.
girl. But then
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna get less and less water.
I know I'm gonna feel so strong. And then I'm gonna
Okay.
be dehydrated.
More carbs, less water.
Ah, I don't know.
Uh,
It's just all about building that strong foundation. And like I like you always talk about, like we just flow. Like that's what's creating this lifestyle is we just flow. We set these boundaries. If shit goes awry, then we can always reassess, reevaluate, and then go back to the basics. Like set those things in place, because we all fall short. We're human. I mean, that's just we're all going to fall short. We're all going to make mistakes, but like you said, it's about learning from them. Like Megan learned from her mistake, and she's like, I'm not going to let that happen again. So now she's creating new habits. She's instilling new habits that are going to help set her up for success next time, so that doesn't happen again. And like that's what this program offers, and that's what this program is all about. It's building that lifestyle. And like that other tribe member that just decided to live off of caffeine and protein shakes, like that is not prioritizing yourself. Basically, what are you saying to yourself when you do that shit? You're saying fuck you. Like, and would you allow somebody else to say fuck you to you? Like, how would you react? And you're doing it to yourself. Come on. Like, that's not self-love, self-care. So, and I know it's hard for us women because we're naturally want to be caretakers and take on the world, you know. And if we have, if we're moms, we have kids, like, we can still set boundaries, we could still delegate responsibilities,
Mm.
It's all about making those changes. And is it uncomfortable at first? Yes. But you know what? There's no growth without discomfort. Boom, mic drop
Ooh.
right there.
Boom, mic
What?
drop.
Yeah,
Boom, mic drop.
I would
Don't
say,
get me fired up because I literally am working 2 jobs. I'm in the middle of fucking prep. I have 2 kids and a husband. God help me.
Yeah, 3 kids then. 3.
And I'm freaking and I'm literally working my fucking ass off. I'm like in the gym, a good 3 hours out of my day. And I started a new job where I'm like putting in, I don't know, like 9 hours a day. Like, don't come to me with excuses because I will light your ass up.
there was
Uh,
definitely a lot of pushback, I would say, last week in my house, because that is a new change, me prioritizing myself. So it blew up my household. I'm at the gym. Where is mom? Mom's supposed to help me. Mom's supposed to make this. Mom's supposed to, where is she at? So we definitely had a bit of a family meeting, come to Jesus meeting about mom needs to take time for herself. And here's all the things you know how to do that you can do on your own.
yeah.
Yes. See? And that's what it's all about because they're perfectly capable. And, that's what we're raising human beings like that. We're teaching them to be independent, self-sufficient, and to give back, I don't know. It's awesome. I love that, Sarah.
I did. Yes, I saw your check-in. I was like, when you said what you learned, and then that's awesome. Like delegation was one of the things that you put on there. And that's huge. Like, I think we forget and we get nervous about delegating, but what you just said, again, another mic drop, like you had a family meeting. Sometimes you're going to have little board meetings with your family and be like, okay, I know that this is how things used to be, but this is how things are now.
Yeah.
And, the other thing that I'll say that I really like that I want to make sure I repeat is, yeah, you have to like Jen said, like when you do something like live off of caffeine and protein, or you do something, it doesn't have to be just that, but like when you do a disservice to yourself, like you like zoom out.
Yeah.
Zoom out. That's like, she used the word as saying fuck you to yourself, but the reality is zoom out, because would you allow that to happen to your kids or your husband? No. Then why the fuck are you allowing it to happen to yourself? And that's like the biggest piece here. So like, she used that terminology, but like really look at it. When you do something like that to you, think about it like, whoa, would I do that to somebody else? Would I allow that to happen to my child? Would I allow that to happen? Well, maybe your husband, I don't know. But like, would I allow that to happen? You're probably going to say no. Then why am I allowing it to happen to myself? Why would I deserve any less than that? That's very valuable information. Mic drop. Both of you. And congratulations, Sarah. Like I said, you made my fucking week when I saw that. I was like, yes,
Thank
go
you.
girl. That's it. Sit down, start delegating. And delegation is huge. Like a lot of times I question things like, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, like sometimes I look at check-ins, I see comments, and I see things, and I think the very first thing that'll go to my mind when I see some stuff, I'm like, where was your husband or your kid? Like, why did we not delegate that out? That, like, literally, I can't tell you how many times that goes through my head. I don't always say it, but sometimes, almost 90% of the time when somebody comes to me with something, I'm like, why did we not delegate that? Like I just had another conversation with another woman in the tribe that is like high up a ladder, you know, in her career. And she was like, a bomb went off. She's like, I didn't get my workout in, I didn't do this. And she's been like smoking it in here. And she's like, you know, there was something that was happening at work and somebody had to get a gift for something. Like literally, it was like that. I read it and I thought, wait a minute, what is your level again? You're like commanding, I don't know, blah, 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 VP, like head of. Why did you not delegate getting a gift to somebody? Like everybody on this call has the ability to delegate something like that. You have somebody in your life, like you have to think about that, like delegation, guys. Delegate. Like there are some shit that you can't get off your plate, but you really have to look at things and think like, what can I delegate that to your kids?
I could add something to that too, Jules.
Add.
So, a couple years ago, I had that hard lesson too about making boundaries for myself.
Mhm.
And I asked myself, I did a lot of inward reflection. I still do. I think it's important. Why do I have so many people coming to me? And why am I the only person that can answer the question or fix a problem? One, I
Yeah.
created that. I created that.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
did that. Maybe I wasn't trusting enough. I wasn't empowering other people.
Mhm.
And I was exhausting myself. And it was stupid. It was dumb. But I'm okay with it because I live with a mentality of fail fast and learn quick.
Mhm.
You have to be able to make mistakes. It's okay. I beat myself up for that for years, for allowing that. I almost lost my marriage over it. Not worth it.
Mm-mm.
And he almost walked out the door when I started this program over 2 years ago because I didn't make time for him. I didn't make time for myself. And then I started the program and then I was like, I got to go to the gym. I don't really care what's happening to you right now, but I'm going to do this. So I went overboard. Again, fail fast,
Mhm.
learn quick. But I created a lot of my own problems.
Mhm.
So having the strength to be able to look at yourself and ask yourself why these problems are problems. What I found, 90% of what was happening to me was something that I created. But the beauty of that is I can fix it. I can fix things too.
Yep.
And sometimes you just have to let other people do things. We have to be okay with it. We don't
Mhm.
have to be, you know, maybe we just feel really important when a million people are coming. Everybody has to, you know, the world has to revolve around. It doesn't have to revolve around us. We don't have to like allow other people to do things. Trust them that they can do it. And they have to make mistakes. They're going to make
Mhm.
mistakes in order to learn. Maybe you're the grand poobah and everybody doesn't understand it like you do, but they're never going to if you don't give it to them. So just some of my lessons.
Very valuable lessons and very true. And that's like another mic drop, guys. Like it's very seriously. And I've been in Stacey's shoes. I created like exact same things right before I made the biggest changes in my life and literally not just transformed my body, but made like all like I was living that same thing. I've been in your shoes, guys. Like, and I had to zoom out myself and I created all of those problems because we as women, no matter where you are in your life, whether it is a, you know, what, no matter what your role is, whether you're leading a company, whether you're in the military and you're leading, or you're leading a family, we all create our own, like Stacy said, like you have to look out and like you created that situation. So if your kids rely on you, Sarah, your family relies on you, you know, she made a choice. She kind of figured out what Stacy just said. Oh, fuck, I created this. Now I have to undo it. She's the head chief of her family. And she had to have a board meeting and be like, okay, so she probably had to have a board meeting with herself first but learn to be okay with the fact that the kids might not put the dishes the way they're supposed to. They may fuck up and not do their homework the way, but that's okay. Like, they're gonna learn. Same with Stacy. Like, if you lead a big company, I used to have that too. I had to sit back and go, why the fuck am I the only person that can solve all these problems? The reality was, just like Stacy, I created it. I didn't empower the people around me. I wasn't okay with them making mistakes, and they gotta make mistakes. So learn to delegate, guys. What's the worst that's gonna happen? Fucking like, nobody's gonna die. I guarantee, unless you're a doctor, nobody's gonna fucking die. All right. If you're the head surgeon, well, wouldn't hand the scalpel off to somebody else. Okay. But none of you in here are that. So, like, honestly, hand the scalpel to somebody. Like, you guys can allow it to happen. Just, yeah.
Well, I would say this too, though, about what's the worst that's going to happen. So I shifted my priorities to the worst thing that could happen. And that's where I chose to spend more of my time. And if Michelle is ever listening to this call, she'll know this intimately, because she was my go-to gal that I appointed to help me with an operation, and people could have died. So when certain things were happening, I was rushing to the very site, and I got my people together. I was like, how do we prevent this shit from happening again? And we implemented it, and things kept getting better every day and every day. Those are the things, right? Because people's lives were at stake at that. But most of the other stuff, it's not. But if you're responsible for something, all these things, and then your boss is like, well, this is all effed up, and you're the one, you're like, you're right, sir or ma'am. And we are learning, we're cutting our teeth, we're empowering people. Like, you can come back from a lot of things, but I'm telling, there's more power in failure. And failure to me was like the dirty word. You did not fail ever. And we're like, we can't, but you have kids, you're like, you can't let your kids fail, but you can teach them. You're actually making them better by making them more more self-reliant. That's the word that I'm looking for. So, I noticed that with my sister's kids when she was in the hospital. I was taking care of her boys. And the things that she would do for them, I was like, nope, you could do that yourself. Here, I'll help you. I'll show you the first couple times, and then it's on you. And they did so good. And she's like, what? How did that happen? And I was like, because I made them do it. I didn't do it for them. Easier for me as an aunt, right? Got it. But my point is, I shift my focus and my priority to the things that could have bodily harm on someone. And then the other stuff is like a lower priority. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So yeah.
That's exactly it. It's like the surgeon with the scalpel. Like, he can't hand his scalpel off in certain situations. But there are things that the nurse can do. So yeah, that's exactly what I mean, guys. Like, there are things that you can delegate, and there's things that you can't. And like with your kids, I just thought of something. My dad used to call it the school of hard knocks. He was like, listen, kid, you're going to go to the school of hard knocks today. So think about that with your kids. Like, I just like when Stacy was talking about the kids and like allowing them to make mistakes and that they learn, like, you don't want them to fail. My dad was actually a really big fan of letting me fail. And he used to call it the school of hard knocks. But I'll tell you, I learned a lot from my dad. Like, you want it, like, go ahead, give that a shot. See how that works out for you. Come back and tell me about it. Oh, fuck, that didn't work too well.
I was raised in that same school, Jules. Oh my God.
And that was his exact words. He used to call it the school of hard knocks. His words exactly. I was like, yeah, it's the school I graduated from. But it worked.
I was not raised in that school, and I am such a perfectionist that it has led to my own like feel of failure that I am like working through. But that was one of the things I thought about, and we had about in our family meeting was, I am building this feel of fear of failure in my children because I'm doing so much for them that I'm not allowing them to fail. And now they're going to become adults that are afraid to try new things or don't think that they can delegate to other people. And so that was something else that we had talked about on the flip side, that you need to do this and you need to fail. So you realize it's okay to fail. It's okay to not do things perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Good stuff, guys. Really good stuff. So yeah, send your kids to the school of hard knocks. It's all good.
I have
But you know
something-
what? Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you first, Stacy. Go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say real quick, back to, was it Sarah? You're talking about your kid, like, you're being stronger because I feel like it's easier to give into the fear. And like you're being this, oh my God, you're such a great parent for doing this. I just, hands off, or just, yeah, just hats off to you. I'm just so proud of you for that. Because a lot of, like, my mother was like all about fear, 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 fear. And it's in my sister, I've seen her doing that too. I'm like, we've got to let go at some point, but we got to be strong enough to do that. And it starts with us. That's the beauty of this program too, is being able to recognize those things and stand on each other's shoulders. And you know, really cheer for ourselves. This is a huge win. Huge win. Go ahead, I'm done.
I'm really working on it, but it is definitely something new for me. And I'm glad that I'm catching it early with my kids, because if I hadn't have done this program, who knows when I would have caught it? Who knows how old my children would have been? So it's something new, but it is very good.
I love this.
I was
So much fun.
sorry, Joel.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I love that too. I'm sorry guys, I'm all dressed up. I've got a puja to go to this afternoon and I gotta work. So a puja is just like a ceremony for the baby. Anyway, Indian culture. So something that I thought was super cool is that, and what I'm noticing is with my friend circle, right? Like they were super supportive and they're like, yeah, Megan, sometimes we'll forget. Let's go out. I'm like, I can't, or I can, but I got to bring this. And they're like, never mind. Right. And I'm like, what? I want to go out too. But all that to say is, as I've started this journey, like my husband, he's been super supportive. He started with me. He's like, all right, I'll just, whatever your meals are, eat like a little bit more because, oh man, right? So I'm like, that's fine, whatever, do you? But he's been supportive that way. But something that I thought was cool is like, my husband broke. Like we were doing, I'm doing the whole, when I did the reset, I just got off that. But when I was doing the reset, I think like the last 2 days, he's like, oh, I need a slice of pizza, like ASAP. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. And so it's like, okay, I'll order for you, but I'm not eating it. And he's like, you're supposed to support me. You're supposed to say no. And I was like, I did like 3 times. And I was like, okay, I didn't order it yet. And he's like, wait, you didn't order it yet? And I'm like, in your face. Anyway, all that to say is he ended up eating the pizza. And then he came back the next day and he was like, Megan, all night, my stomach was on fire. I'm not doing that again. He's like, I'm just going to troop through it. And he hasn't broke again since. So, but then my best friends that are around me, except for the one that just gave birth, they're also starting to like make healthier decisions with eating. And like, I've noticed that the more I kind of say, hey, I've got to do this and stick to my plan, but I'm more than happy to come over, they've started adjusting their lifestyles too for like making more healthy choices, which is fun to see that reciprocate like in that direction. So I just thought that was cool too.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Like, and I love that you're actually experiencing that so soon in this, Megan, because that is huge. Like, you will start to influence people around you, and that's actually fun because, and I love that about your husband. He's probably going to get jacked right alongside of you.
Yeah, he's like, I'm honestly kind of jealous. I mean, I know men have like, well, at least scientifically, it's easier for them supposedly to lose weight and stuff. And my husband's not, he was never a chunky guy. He typically ate healthy. He occasionally, like, he's already at 22% body fat, and I'm over here still like at 30 something. I'm like, come on. And he's got muscles already. I'm like, he's like, I've only been doing this. I'm like, listen, let me get there. Like, you eat your
You're
pizza
doing-
and I'll eat my turkey breast. Like, so
I love it. I
Hey
love
Megan,
it.
I would say that's a dual win because your husband's like hot, right? And so I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweat over
That's
here, Stacy.
That's awesome. And I think we all need to give a shout out to Megan's outfit. That is fucking fire. I was like watching her. I'm like, I love that outfit.
I'm giving you the chef's kiss, Megan. Mwah.
All right, guys. This was a super good call. I am going to upload it. I'm glad you guys all made it because this is the one and only day that I won't be doing a second conversations with Jules because I will be in class and I'm actually not going to be able to do it. So I'm going to upload this. So thank you guys all for joining. Super, super good call. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of your week.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.